Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekackt von Jan.
Nebbig.
Ver poo-poo-poo.
Vermischt.
Verkackt.
Vertutzt.
Verstonken.
Farted.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Yay, here we go again. It's American Jew coming at you. My name is Jordan Ferber.
I'm Jonathan Randall.
And,
let's get you into it.
Yeah, we're getting into it. It's been a weird week for Judaism. There was the CPAC conference where they had a Nazi symbol on stage.
Not surprising.
But apparently, like, there's definitely some Jews that have been defending it. Like, they're saying that, you know, it's such a pro-Zionist stance that any Republican Jews take. But they go out of their way to try to, you know, say, look, there's so many Jews on this side. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, that's not like an excuse for anti-Semitic stuff, for, you know, saying bad things about Jews, or for not supporting and liking Jews. It's crazy how people are like, oh, well, there's Jews here, or he is related to a Jew, or this. That doesn't mean that you can't be anti-Semitic or participate in anti-Semitism or indulge it.
It's really, I think it's very troubling to see that there are Jews that are defending the fact that it's just a coincidence that it looks like a Nazi symbol.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, hey, we have been talking about trying to take the swastika back, so maybe they're trying to take some of this anti-Semitic imagery back. But, you know, we're obviously not conservatives on this podcast. We're not fans of Trump. Most of the people there were his disciples. He was just there spreading lies at CPAC again, which is basically all he does. It boggles my mind that Jews are supportive of him. Again, it comes back to Israel and their bottom dollar, but whatever.
It's troubling to see that there are Jews that defend this garbage.
Absolutely. It's crazy about, you know, a lot of Jews just aren't really good examples of what Jews should be. And, you know, there's so much hatred towards Jews in the world. It's so crazy that Jews are having hatred and bigotry towards each other for not, like, being religious enough. You know, this week, the Supreme Court in Israel declared that Jews that are converted under more liberal practices, you know, like reform or conservative, are considered to be Jews.
This is a big story, I thought. I thought this was a pretty big story. It's, they're letting people that have converted to Judaism in the reform or conservative movements to be considered fully Jews and to be accepted by the Israeli state.
Yes, and then they could come and become citizens in Israel, which is a good thing.
I mean, it goes back to the thing that we say all the time. If you want to be a Jew, be a Jew. You know, come join the party. You know, it's so crazy that we go out of our way to be exclusionary when we should be more welcoming as a people.
No, for sure. I guess they don't want them to be able to, you know, have the law of return and be able to come back to Israel and become Israeli citizens, the ultra-religious. They actually put out an ad depicting Reform Jews as dogs, which is insane. You know, they used to say Jews and there used to be signs in places that said no Jews and dogs allowed. And now Jews are comparing other Jews to dogs. It's just insane how, you know, these religious Jews, they make all Jews look bad. And yes, we need to be an inclusive religion, not only to other religions, but especially towards our own. And if people want to convert to Judaism, we should be having a goddamn party because it's amazing and we can take as many. And I don't have to worry people, Africans are just converting just to come to Israel. We need as many Jews as we could get. It makes no sense. It's like they want to complain about assimilation. One of the rabbis, the very religious rabbis, he actually said, if your son ends up marrying one of these women who convert, you know, through a conservative conversion in Israel, then you might as well just say Kiddush, not Kiddush. Kaddish, thank you. I was going to say Kaddish and consider them dead. And like, that is insane. That is insane. So it's such a bad look for Israel. Such a bad look for Orthodox Jews that are doing this, very religious Jews. I mean, it's good that the Supreme Court in Israel changed its policy and made it that, conservative and Reform Jews can, be Jewish, and it's okay. But, I mean, it's just ridiculous how Israel, it's not bad enough that they have all these Arab nations, wanting to wipe them out, but now they are giving grief to their own people, to the people that want to be Jews. There's strength in numbers. We need as many as we can get. I just, this just bothers me so much. This is some of the problems with Judaism. This is what turned me off to Judaism growing up religiously, is these kinds of attitudes and these kinds of judgments from
And the interesting thing,
people.
and some of these arguments happen amongst people that aren't even Jewish. I don't know if you read what's going on in England. There's a big thing that on the BBC recently, they had a Jewish broadcaster who was taking flack for asking whether or not Jews are an ethnic minority group. And they had a whole panel discussing the fact, debating whether or not Jews are an ethnic minority. And this one guy was like, can you imagine if I was a black guy and 4 white people were asked to judge if I was a member of an ethnic minority, how offensive that would be? Anti-Semitism is such a blanket movement. I feel like they don't differentiate. Anti-Semites and white supremacists do not differentiate between Reform Judaism and Orthodox.
No, they're not they only they converted, Reform, so we don't hate them that much.
But then you have the Jewish religious sects that are well, you can only be considered Jewish if you're, one of these formatted, specific groups. It's why are we being so exclusive when the people that hate us the most don't even really do the research? They're well, if you have, Hitler used to say if you had 1 drop of Jewish blood running through you were Jewish. So it's you can't fight against anti-Semitism if we're fighting amongst each other to determine who's actually Jewish and what is determined to be a part of an ethnic minority. I think it's, if you want to be part of the fight, be part of the, wanting to be a Jew it means being part of that fight. You know what I'm saying? And
no, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you 100%, and it's so true. It's insane. It really is. So I'm at a loss for words, because I don't understand why these ultra religious Jews want to just showcase the ugliness of Judaism.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do any favors. It turns people off to Judaism. It turns non-Jews off to Jews. All it does is have negative effects. And you know what? Everything in life has evolved, and Judaism has evolved too, and it needs to evolve, and it needs to further evolve. I'm sorry, but these aren't the Old Testament times, okay? Things have changed. The world has changed. Life has changed, and Judaism needs to change a little bit with it if it really wants to survive and if it really wants to move forward. That's what I think. And if we're ostracizing those of us that aren't good enough or who we don't consider to be Jewish enough or whatever, then our religion is more doomed than any assimilation.
I agree. I mean, that's part of the reason why it's so important to have all this inclusion, because we've been chased out of every corner of the world. We've been persecuted just for existing. And our continued existence has all these conspiracy theories of people talking about, these, evil cabals and, just vilifying a group of people that they have no real understanding of. And that's why, all these stories are so connected, because it's so interesting to me to see Jews fighting about who gets to be considered a Jew. And then you have anti-Semites you know what, if you even side with the Jews politically or ideologically, you're dead to me, just as any other Jew might be.
It's crazy. They want to argue the Jews. Of course, all this horrible stuff that goes on with the Palestinian people. Whose land is it? It's our land. It's your land. It's our land, but not all of our lands. This is the Jewish land, but not all Jews. It's just so bad. What an embarrassment. Of course, these are huge supporters of Netanyahu, and Netanyahu's on their side. And this is crazy. So I think this is great that what the Supreme Court did. I think exactly like we always talk about, if you want to be Jew, be a Jew. And we need as many Jews as possible, especially in Israel. And I think that's great. And I think someone's got to really tell these people that what they're doing is horrible. And it is not in the spirit of Judaism. I'm sorry. I feel it takes away from the beauty and any of the goodness. And I know when I hear this, when I read things like this, it makes me ashamed, actually, to be a Jew.
Well, there is some good news that came out.
This story is crazy. I know I just messaged you before that I was reading, but apparently in Paris, a Muslim guy who's a known anti-Semite, he killed a Jewish woman by pushing her out the window of a building.
Oy.
And he had smoked weed before, so the court said, well, since he smoked weed, he wasn't in his right mind, so he's just going to like a psychology place, like he's not like getting convicted of murder. And they're like, the headline was like, if you smoke weed in France, you could kill a Jew. That's like pretty crazy.
I'll say this. Part of this story made me think about how hard it is to actually get weed in France. They're more hash smokers, I thought. It's very hard to find.
Maybe it was hash. It was cannabis. It was a consumption of marijuana.
When I was in France, I had a very hard time finding marijuana.
Well, maybe times have changed.
Maybe
people just didn't want to give you marijuana because you weren't pronouncing it well enough in France, or just because they hate Americans. They're like, "Screw you, America! Get your own weed." But I don't think it should be so hard. I mean, it's not far from the Netherlands.
Or maybe they just hate the Jews. They were like hoping. I don't know. Maybe it's the way I haggled over the price.
There's a lot of anti-Semitism in France. That because of the treatment of the Palestinian people and because there's a large Muslim community there. We've talked about that before, but next time you go to France, though, we'll make sure you get a weed hookup.
Well, so I'm trying to understand what the story is. So this guy committed murder, and because he got stoned, but his lawyers are using a defense that he was like temporarily insane because of smoking weed.
Yeah, that's what happened. I don't know if that was the defense the lawyers used, but it came up that he smoked weed. They're saying he had a delirious episode that makes him not legally responsible for his actions.
I mean, wow. That is pretty crazy.
I mean, this apparently is an older story, but the article that I was reading was just written today about it. But they're still trying to convict this guy and make sure that he has responsibility.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That is a crazy story, and I hope that that he gets convicted. That he
definitely. What a weird thing. Especially when usually pot stories are a lot happier.
Yeah,
a lot better.
Well, I did find some good news this week. There is some good news out there.
What's the fun?
The Washington Wizards, the NBA team in Washington, are celebrating their Jewish Heritage Night tonight before
Which is weird that they're called the Wizards and they have a Jewish Heritage Night, by the way.
Yeah, well, they used to be called the Washington Bullets.
Okay.
They changed their name to the Wizards in the 90s. But they're going to have an Israeli singer singing the national anthem. And they've got an Israeli basketball star on the Wizards, and former NBA player Omri Caspi, who's also Israeli, is going to be taking part in the event.
Very nice. So what's their Jewish heritage? I don't understand.
They have a big star on the Wizards that's their newest big star is Israeli.
Oh, okay.
And they launched a Hebrew Twitter account earlier this year to speak to his Jewish fans and stuff.
Okay,
I mean, it kind of,
they're trying to be like, hey, Jew, this is a basketball team, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to be like, hey, Jews, if you're going to like a basketball team, we're the one to like.
Yeah. I mean, it does kind of remind me of that scene in Airplane where she's like, do you have any light reading? She's like, oh, how about this pamphlet on Jewish sports stars? But
speaking of reading, I think that's a good segue that we could get into talk about Dr. Seuss for a minute.
Sure.
This week it was announced it was his birthday this week. Read Across America is usually associated a lot with Dr. Seuss because of his birthday. Not so much this year. 6 books from Dr. Seuss's catalog will no longer be published because of racist and insensitive imagery. Dr. Seuss has it's weird because Dr. Seuss definitely has a thing about inclusion and, making the world a better place. But, when he was in Dartmouth, he did do a lot of drawings that depicted Jewish people with anti-Semitic stereotypes. He's depicted African Americans as like gorillas and stuff. Of course, Chinese people are always, the helpers with the slanty eyes and the things like that.
Yeah.
So he definitely, didn't really do the best job of, not spreading these horrible stereotypes. A lot of people are upset. Oh, whatever, cancel culture. One thing I've heard a lot of people say about this was, oh, well, don't you want your kid to read this? And then we could explain to them why it's wrong and what it used to be. And I think that's just the dumbest thing I've heard. I got to tell you. One, because not all people are evolved to teach their kids about how this was the past. It was mistakes. We're not like that anymore. All people are equal. A lot of people won't do that. But also, why do we need to subject children to this racist and bigoted imagery that, like, they shouldn't be exposed to? They don't need to have that. They don't need to subconsciously think in their heads, oh, I'm better than,
Right.
So I think it's a good thing. The family is behind it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird that there are people out there that are like, I can't believe they're canceling Dr. Seuss. I'm like, they're not canceling Dr. Seuss. His estate decided to stop publishing this. It's more like they're scrubbing their own Twitter feed. Like, we don't want to be associated with these anymore.
Again, it's like they're evolving as a company with the times, and they're saying this isn't appropriate. This isn't what we want children to see, and we're going to do something about it, because that is more in the spirit of Dr. Seuss. And I think if he was still alive, he would be upset about, having that kind of imagery in his books and putting that kind of imagery out in the world, and he wouldn't want to. And I think what they're doing is a good thing, and it's that Dr. Seuss isn't canceled. And I was reading more stuff about, apparently Yertle the turtle,
Yeah.
that's Hitler.
Right.
I didn't realize that, and that was kind of like an allegory for Hitler. And some of his other books they had the same kind of thing. So don't freak out. The Cat in the Hat isn't an anti-Semite, but
Especially considering that, I don't know if you know this, but in 1969, even though he's not Jewish, Dr. Seuss was awarded the title of honorary Jew by the mayor of Jerusalem at the time, Teddy Kollek.
Oh, hey, so great. Honorary Jew, but I bet the ultra-Orthodox really hated that. Being an honorary Jew, it doesn't mean you get to take advantage of the law of return.
Indeed.
Well, we got it. We got a Jew on the show, a comedian and an actor, a homosexual, which I guess almost a little bit ties in because, again, the ultra-Orthodox communities, they don't accept people that are gay. They don't like that. They're very strongly against that. You'll be shunned from their communities. But again, like we say, it's awesome to have all different types of Jews. And comedian Adam Chisnall, very funny, very talented actor, and a great guy. And I'm really glad that we got him on the show today.
Yes, indeed.
Let's do this. Am I the guest or what's?
You are the guest. Guest of honor.
God. Thank you. Thank you for having this Jew on your podcast.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. We got Adam Chisnall here. We're super excited. He used to live in New York, but he's coming to us from Los Angeles right now. Everything's going well out there in sunny LA?
Everything is going great. It is sunny. It is beautiful. There's, lots of sunshine and palm trees and human feces on the sidewalk. I'm loving it.
So just,
wow.
so little elements of New York still creeping up here and there.
There are some elements of New York creeping up here and there. True that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there are a lot of Jewish people in Los Angeles, but do you feel like there's more, do you feel like when you're in New York, you're more aware of Jews than you are in LA, or you think it's like equal?
I think it's equal. I literally ride my bike down Hollywood, and it's a big Jew area. Lots of Orthodox Jews, lots of synagogues. The other day, I did extra work for Curb Your Enthusiasm in a temple,
Nice.
And there are lots of Jews there. There's still plenty of Jews here in Los Angeles. I think there's also a lot of Armenian
I know, they're
Jews
running
here.
the entertainment business, apparently.
Yeah, baby, I'm in Hollywood.
Yeah,
Jews are everywhere.
Being an extra on Curb Your Enthusiasm actually is like one of the larger congregations in LA.
Yes. Yeah, I was honored to be on your podcast and extra work at Curb Your Enthusiasm. That was actually pretty cool. It was
That's
a long
awesome.
day.
So they did a scene inside a synagogue, a shul?
Yeah, they did a scene inside. I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying this because I don't know, but it was Vince Vaughn, Larry David, Susie Essman, and it was inside of a temple. And I was just one of the temple goers. It was pretty cool.
Oh, very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what kind of temple was it? It was like a Reform temple?
I have no idea. There's different temples. Like, I'm Jewish, but like I'm not that Jewish.
Yeah.
Like,
Did they make you wear a yarmulke as an extra?
they made me wear a yarmulke as an extra.
Did they
said,
give
bring
you a
your own.
yarmulke?
They gave me the costume department put a yarmulke on my head.
On the inside, did it say Curb Your Enthusiasm? Like it was a bar mitzvah and it said the bar mitzvah person's name?
I didn't look that hard. I was sitting down. The costume department came. They plopped it on my head. And then pretty much from there, we shot the scene.
It's funny that the
I
costume
wouldn't look.
department.
I didn't look. I should have looked inside the yarmulke.
That's the thing. The costume department shouldn't have had to supply the yarmulkes. They have a bowl at the front right when you walk in. From all the, who knows how many bar mitzvahs.
I guess, but the bowl of yarmulkes isn't very COVID friendly, I don't think, anymore.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what bowl of yarmulke. At the very end, we put a yarmulke in a bag, so they had a bag of yarmulkes, but that was the end of the day. There was a bag of yarmulkes.
Bag of yarmulkes.
Bag of yarmulkes.
That sounds like it could be like an album from somebody. The newest from Uncle Moishi, Bag of Yarmulkes.
Yeah, I think that could totally work. Bag of yarmulkes. I always get confused on how to spell yarmulke. I find that's just do you guys know how to spell yarmulke?
No.
There's a lot of different spellings, I think. I think it's always better to just try to spell, kippah. That's always better.
Some people put like an L in it.
Yeah, there's an L in it. It's just like there's many various ways to spell Hanukkah, right? There's like 15 different ways that you can spell the word Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's never good to spell it with 3 Ks.
No, that's not. No, we don't accept that.
Adam, where are you from? New York?
Okay, so I was born in Staten Island, but I really grew up in Pennsylvania in a place called the Lehigh Valley. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. Pretty much from first grade through my senior year of high school, Lehigh Valley. Went to school in Pittsburgh at a place called Point Park University. Studied at the Second City for a hot sec in Chicago.
Nice.
And then moved to New York. And I was on the national tour of old Jews telling jokes.
I know. I'm so jealous. I'm like, I feel like I'm an older Jew than you. How come I didn't get that?
Well, I have to brag here. It wasn't an old Jew. I played a young Jew. There were 2 young Jews, so I got the young Jew role. And they took us to Palm Springs, and the pandemic hit, and I just stayed. And now I'm in Hollywood, California.
It was probably so. Really, you were part of the touring company that went to go tell those jokes to old Jews.
Exactly. Yes. To old Jews. Yes. In Palm Springs.
How was the reception?
It was mixed. It was mixed.
Oh no!
It was mixed.
Old Jews are tough crowds.
Old Jews are tough crowds. This 8:00 shows were usually a miss, and the afternoon matinee shows were usually a hit because I don't be ageist here, but older people tend to go to the matinees. And then the older, the less older people go to the evenings, and evening shows were rough. Some of them was rough, but afternoon shows we were a hit. Every joke killed, and these are like really jokes that you guys know. Like, what was the joke I had to say? Joke was, a father walks into his son's room and says, "Son, you'll have to stop masturbating or you'll go blind." And the son says, "Dad, I'm over here."
Right.
Those are like the jokes.
So they weren't all Jew related, but was everybody in the audience pretty much Jewish?
No, there was not. There was one show we did where there was literally like a nun in the audience. So she had the whole nun garb on. I don't know what the correct terminology is for that, but they weren't all Jewish. In the program, there was a little guy giving you.
She had a nun's habit on, right? That's what they call
it?
Is
that what it is? Nun's habit?
That's what I thought it was called.
Fuck, I don't know. But yeah, not all the audiences were Jews, but they were old, that's for sure.
I thought a nun's habit was just condemning others.
Hey-o. I'll put that in the old Jews telling joke show.
Well, so how Jewish were you raised growing up? Like, was your family religious at all? Did you live in a Jewish community?
No. I'm so sorry, everybody, but I was not raised Jewish. I never had a bar mitzvah. I'm circumcised, but other than that, no, I was not religious whatsoever. My education on religion came from musicals like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Jesus Christ Superstar. But no, I am lacking in religion.
You were brought up like knowing that you were Jewish.
I was brought up knowing I was Jewish. We kind of, celebrated Hanukkah. But my mom is full Jew, therefore I am full Jew. My dad, not a Jew. He claims he's an atheist. So that's my
Well,
that's
we
my
think
background.
you could be a Jew and an atheist at the same time.
Why not? It's 2021. I could be anything you want me to be.
Oh, hey. How about
Whatever
like
you want.
your grandparents? Were they more in touch with their Judaism on your mom's side?
You know what? No, my family really is not that religious. No, my mother's parents. I mean, I would get Hanukkah money. Is that Jewish? That's kind of Jewish.
Yeah, Hanukkah gelt.
Yeah, Hanukkah gelt. Yes, but no, I was never really brought up on Judaism or practicing, Judaism or reading the Torah.
You never went to temple growing up?
Never. I only go to temple when I'm an actor and I'm being paid to go to temple.
That's the only reason to go, in my opinion.
It's the only reason to go.
Do you identify as Jewish?
I do. People are like, "What's your background?" And I just say Jewish.
Okay.
It gets me some guys here and there.
Okay. Here,
Some guys
really?
are attracted to Jewish guys. They like
People
that.
like Jewish men. Other guys like Jewish men.
Oh my God, yeah, it's a thing. There's guys out there that have a thing for Jewish guys.
Why do you think that is?
Big noses, big wallets, big. You know what? No, I'm not.
By the way, that apparently
I've got
is, like,
two out of
I
three.
didn't
I've got
realize
two out of
that's a
three.
real thing. I was hanging out with some Indian girl and she was like, "Oh yeah, you Jews and you got the big dicks," and I was like, "That's not a stereotype I've heard a lot of, but I want to get spread out a little bit more."
I mean, it tends to be a true stereotype. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, can you guys relate? I don't know.
I mean, I don't get a lot of complaints, but
Okay.
I mean,
Jordan.
I don't know. I haven't seen
No,
a
I-
lot. I mean, I don't know if we want to do like one episode. I guess we got to do like a dick lineup and see all the different kinds.
I'm surprised
How
that
the
that's
Jews
not
fare.
this episode. How come that's not this episode? The one that I'm
I'm
on?
sorry, Adam. We didn't prepare. We didn't know it was going to come like this. But, being gay is frowned upon in the Jewish religion.
As in
How-
most
how do you
religions
feel
frown
about
upon it.
Yeah, I guess it depends on that religion and how religious they are. But I don't know, like in New York City, they would throw like a party on Hanukkah called Hebrew, and it's a bunch of gay Jews, and it was a huge gay event, even though I never went to it, and I regret not going to it. But
No, there are tons of gay people in the Jewish community. We had Judy Gold on the show a little while ago, and she was talking about, her experience. And of course, there are synagogues that are, primarily for gay people. There are gay rabbis. Here on the American Jew podcast, we are very accepting of that. We love all Jews. Our motto is, if you want to be a Jew, be a Jew. But it's always, curious to me how Jewish people that are gay feel about being part of a religion, having an identity of something that doesn't necessarily support them or is actually kind of like frowns upon them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wasn't raised really religious whatsoever. So, my parents knew I was a homosexual from a very young age. Just, they knew right away. So I've never really been frowned upon. I've been very fortunate and lucky and grateful that I've been very, lucky in that aspect of life. But actually, now that we're talking about this, the synagogue, when I went to Palm Springs over a year ago to rehearse Old Jews Telling Jokes, it was in a temple, and there were rainbow flags. The rabbi of the temple was totally gay. So there you go. Now that we're talking about that, it was like a gay. Can I say gay temple? Is that or they were accepting?
That's okay for me. I mean, I don't mind. I think that's okay. No, for sure. Some of my closest friends are a lesbian couple living in Florida, and one of them is a teacher at a Jewish schools, and she's very learned, and Judaism is very important to her. I would say she's practically Orthodox still, and I think, we need as many Jews as we could get.
Of course. Well, that's the whole point of Judaism is we need as many. We got to make up from years ago, the Holocaust. We need to, add a lot more Jews back into the population.
Absolutely. Me and Jordan were talking a little bit earlier about, some issues going on in Israel of who's to be considered a Jew and who's not. And exactly, we want as many as we can. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're reformed. All that matters is that you want to be a Jew, and you could be a Jew. If your dad's Jewish, if your mom's Jewish, who cares? That's what we say.
I mean, the other thing that we've talked about this a lot, and we mentioned it on the show earlier today, which is that people that hate the Jews, anti-Semitism, anti-Semites and white supremacists do not care to what degree you consider yourself Jewish. If there's any Judaism in you and they think you're Jewish, like that's it, And to see Jewish people going out of their way to be like, well, can we consider you Jewish? Let's take a look at the paperwork. Let me see your papers. It's definitely, how can we be fighting amongst each other as to what we consider to be a real Jew?
Right.
When the
if
people
you're
that hate us,
Reformed, go to the left. If you're Orthodox, go to the right.
Yeah.
Adam, have you ever experienced any anti-Semitism?
I think one time I got into a fight at a gay bar. I was a little drunk, and that's where I experienced a little anti-Semitism. But in all fairness, I was being a little dick to the guy that I was talking to, and I think that's where that anti-Semitism came from. But other than that, not really. I mean, I have not experienced too much of anti-Semitism. I don't know. Maybe I'm delusional to it when it's happening to me, or I'm just not aware of it. But
so wait, what happened at this bar?
Oh my God, I can't. It just, some guy was just being an asshole, and he was just bringing up the Jewish remarks and, being anti-Semitic. This was a while ago, so I don't remember too much details. Plus, I was under the influence of a lot of alcohol. So I can't, to give you the details, it's all very blurry to me. But I do know he was hating on me, and he was not liking that. He was bringing up the fact that I was Jewish and kind of hating on that.
This is what commonly happens. People he might not actually have been an anti-Semite, but he saw that he was Jewish. Yeah. He was mad, and then his anger, that's how he wanted to upset you, or he wanted to offend you. He wanted to degrade you. He wanted to bring religion, bring Judaism into it. That's what happens.
Yeah, I think that
is anti-Semitic, but it doesn't mean that guy's a horrible anti-Semite.
Right. I think it was just, it was at a gay bar. He was gay, but I mean, just because you're gay doesn't mean you can't be an anti-Semite or racist or whatever. But I think
but it's a little weird. It's a little weird, right? To be
it is
gay.
weird.
I think so. I mean, there definitely are, but I think it's weird.
I mean, there's gay Republicans. There's a group out there called LGB Trump, and T is supposed to be for transsexual, but the T is for Trump. There's a gay couple I saw on Facebook who support Mike Pence. I mean, that just blows my mind as a gay man.
That's insane.
That I don't understand
Mike
that
Pence
whatsoever.
Is gay. And old Jews telling jokes. You weren't in like some place in the South and someone's like, I walked into the wrong show.
No, maybe I'm just not aware of it, or I turned a blind eye to it, but I have not experienced much anti-Semitism. How about you?
Awesome.
Have you guys?
No, it's a good thing. Glad to hear it.
I mean,
we're not experiencing a whole lot of it ourselves.
No,
maybe it's because
we live in New York, and Jonathan is from Florida. Like, we come from areas where there's already a lot of Jews, so there's less overt anti-Semitism because it's hard to. But I think there's always a lot of casual anti-Semitism that gets thrown around. A lot of verbiage and jokes and things like that. And like you say, when buttons get pushed, people will throw whatever they can at you to be antagonistic, and whatever group you happen to be a part of will be taken advantage of as a slur in some way to be able to take you down to throw that at somebody. So I think that's probably the most that we've ever experienced.
I would like to say that the reason I don't have a better career is because of anti-Semitism, but considering Jews are very involved in the entertainment industry, I can't get away with that.
Yeah, sorry there.
I once had a big Italian guy at a show corner me and basically threatened me if I was going to continue to do Jesus material. He was very upset that I had a lot of Jesus jokes.
You mentioned earlier that a lot of gay guys like Jewish guys. Is that something that you consider when you're dating?
If I were to date a Jewish guy?
Like,
yeah.
Are you like, oh, he's Jewish? Like, is that like a plus? Do you not care at all?
At this point, as a 35-year-old gay man, I don't care. I'll take anybody at this time. I'm single. I've been single my whole life. Jewish, yeah. I mean, that's kind of. I'll date a Jewish guy. I'll date a black guy. I'll date a Latin guy. I'll date any guy. But if the guy is Jewish, is it fun to be like, hey, I'm Jewish too, and that's something that we can relate and bond with right away? Then hey, I'm down. I'm game. And plus, like we said earlier, Jews, tend to have big, what. So at least I know that if I'm going to date this guy. Hopefully. Okay. It'll be disappointing if he doesn't have one, then that's where it's a no-go. I can't have a Jewish guy with a small dick. It's not going to work.
That's forget it. You can't be Jewish and have a small dick.
No, that's not going to work. I'm sorry.
We ask a lot of guys, that come on the show that, date a lot, if they find differences between, Jewish women and non-Jewish women. Do you find when you're dating that there's differences when it comes to Jewish men opposed to non-Jewish men other than penis size?
Oh, do I find differences? Jewish men tend to be, can I say, more confident, a little more aggressive, a little more talkative, a little more, maybe they know what they want, maybe a little more paranoid than other guys, a little more, the Jewish guys I've been with, they're usually, I don't know, they're funnier, they're a little more aggressive, which I kind of like, a little more upfront, a little more honest, or, less shy, which is I like guys that are very upfront. They know what they want. They're not shy. They're not conservative. They're not quiet. Right. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's a stereotype, but that's what lots of guys, and I've been with a few, plenty of guys. I'm sorry.
I hear what you're saying, and I think you expressed it wonderfully. A lot of people have a hard time when we're asking these questions, but I don't know. Like, I guess they are stereotypes, but they're not. There is a difference. There are things that, Jewish people, the way they act, how their values are, that are more in line. I was actually out on a date last night with a girl, and I was telling her how I was able to get a bunch of money off my rent because of COVID, and I was telling her and she was just like, you're so Jewish. And I'm like, I'm not going to be offended because it is. I feel like a lot of non-Jews, they won't pick up the phone to make a phone call to argue about a bill or to try to get it changed. They'll just accept. They don't want to rock the boat. It is what it is. But I feel like Jewish people will more. They'll be like, no, they'll do a small thing that'll have more of a result that'll, wind up in their favor.
Exactly. You bring that up. Yeah, my mom was a huge component of, if there's a bill, like if there was, some sort of money situation, or the bill seemed to be too high, or they did an extra charge that wasn't need to be there, she would call and complain and make sure that was taken care of. And I learned that trick from my mom and do that to this day. If they have like an extra high electric bill, I'm like, this bill should not be this high. I'm going to call and make a complaint and try to get that bill to what it needs to be.
Right. No, for sure. A good friend of mine was telling me a story about he was, with his girlfriend, and they were planning a trip, and they got a price of something, and then he was like, hold on a second, I want to call the hotel directly. And the girl's like, no, you don't need to. We got it. Stop. It's all good. Everything's fine. He's like, let me just call. And she was like, almost embarrassed of him that he wanted to make this call. And he ended up making the call, and he got their whole stay, like, for half the price just by making that call. And I'm like, that's the thing Jewish people, they do. I don't want to say it's, it's anti-Semitic, it's a stereotype, it's because all Jews are cheap. It's just, we have a value of money that I think a lot of other people of other races, while they might have that value too, I think it's more common with Jewish people. A lot of times, stories I tell people of, how I got this or how I got a great deal, they're like blown away, and I'm like, I'll help you. I can do the same thing, but it's just like the littlest thing that for some reason, I don't know. And I just think it's like a way we were brought up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yes. And I also like a guy who can pick up the phone and make a complaint and get, what he wants, especially when it comes to money. That is a huge turn on for me. So, yeah, Jews all the way.
I think it's a good thing, too. And there's so many girls I've been out that get, like, they're, like, mortified if, like, I'm speaking up to someone that, like, cuts me in line, or I say something to, someone that's being rude or something, and I'm just like, no, like, speak up. And again, I do think it has something to do with my Jewish upbringing and the values that have been instilled in me, that I'm not going to take the shit, I'm going to always try to see what else is, like, out there and what options are available, and I'm willing to pick up the phone, write an email, talk to somebody, and ask for what I want.
Yeah.
I mean, Jews, we've been, persecuted our whole lives, so now it's time to, speak up and get what we want. I think maybe that's where that comes from, perhaps. I don't know.
When you were growing up, I know you mentioned that you didn't have a bar mitzvah. Was that something that bothered you at all? Did you care?
No, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't care. I wasn't like, oh, I wish I had a bar mitzvah or anything. No. Even to this day, looking back, I'm not like, oh, I wish I had this bar mitzvah. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. I wish I went to temple. I just don't. I'm indifferent. I'm very indifferent with that.
Yeah. Did you go to a lot of bar mitzvahs?
Growing up that you went
no,
to
I didn't go to. I don't think I've even been to one bar mitzvah in my lifetime.
Oh, wow.
I know. Sorry, you guys. Sorry, I'm not disappointed.
Have you been to a bar mitzvah?
With a Jewish dog? Is that what that is?
Yes, I just actually was reading about this. I just learned about today, but apparently they've been around since the 50s, where I guess people throw their dogs bar mitzvahs. And this is very offensive to the ultra-Orthodox in Israel because they find it disrespectful.
Are the dogs given money?
I mean, I don't know what the dogs would do with their money, but, there's a bunch of pictures with dogs with, like, yarmulkes and the tzitzit and the payas and stuff.
At what age do they give the dog the bar mitzvah, I wonder? Because, I mean...
At 13.
Right, so...
13?
13 in human years or dog years?
I guess it's got to be dog years.
I mean...
That's the right way to do it.
It would be. I mean, my dog died at 13.
Yeah, no, for sure it's in dog years. It's a bar mitzvah.
Did you have a shiva for your dog, Jordan?
No, we did not have a shiva for the dog.
Well, that'll be maybe the next thing. Maybe we can start doing that trend.
Maybe. I mean, it was...
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
A dog shiva?
A dog shiva.
Yeah, I'm not crazy into dogs.
What?
It's a very unpopular opinion. I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast before.
It hasn't come up, that's for sure.
First of all, women with dogs are the most annoying women of all the women.
Oh, okay.
I do not want to date a woman with a dog. If I'm on a dating app and a woman's profile has more than one dog picture, automatic no. Usually, even if she has one, like the rest of her profile's really got to be appealing for me to go with it.
Wow.
I'm not a big dog guy, and more with the when it comes to women, because then the dog is just like the center of their life, and I want to be the center of their life.
All right.
Would you get a dog together with a woman? Like if you were in a relationship, would you get?
I really would not. I mean, I'd really have to love this woman a lot. I mean, I kind of say like if I ever have kids and they wanted a dog, okay, I'd get them a dog, but. It's such a huge responsibility. I have a hard enough time taking care of myself.
So wait, there's not even one dog that you would get? Do you like cats? Do you like any kind of animal?
I guess I'm not like a crazy animal guy.
Oh my gosh. Does that offend some women when you date them?
I hope. It might offend PETA if any of them are listening. Does it offend women? No, it doesn't really offend them, but they usually sometimes they could tell, I have dated women with dogs, and they are like, ooh, you don't like my dog. One girl actually, after we broke up, she was like, she's like, well, you didn't like my dog. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't, you know.
Well, so
Israel. Have you been to Israel, Adam?
No, actually, one thing I have regret was never taking that birthright trip that I was supposed to take. But no, I've never been to Israel, but I would like to go to Israel. Absolutely. You both have been. I know you've been to Israel, Jonathan, but Jordan, have you been to Israel?
I was there. Yeah, I went when I was 13. Not on birthright. I had a friend growing up whose family was Israeli, and he had his bar mitzvah in Israel. So I went to his bar mitzvah. It was his one American friend that made the trip, and my mom turned it into like a whole family vacation. So we were like over there for a couple weeks.
I know Israel. We're talking about gays in Israel, but doesn't Israel have like a huge gay pride parade? I mean, they're pretty cool with the gays in Israel.
I mean, they are, but not the ultra orthodox of Israel. The very religious aren't, but there are more progressive Jews in Israel. But of course, there are gay people in Israel and in Tel Aviv, all around, and a lot of Israelis are very accepting of the gay community. A lot of them are not very accepting of Palestinians. Do you have an opinion of the whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
I do not have an opinion on that. I wish I was more educated on that topic. I can't argue this. I can't argue that. I did a commercial recently for some sort of Our Common Destiny. I don't know what that necessarily means. I don't know if that rings a bell, but they were projecting images onto the Great Wall. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
The Wailing Wall.
Wailing Wall. Hey, the Wailing Wall. And I guess that was supposed to offend the Palestinians, but I did a commercial saying that they're going to do this, and that Zionism is I'm so ignorant when it comes to all of it.
Zionism is that it's basically the Jews' land is Israel.
Yeah. So my friend's like, you're part of a Zionist commercial, and I had no idea that I was a part of that. Is that like a good thing, a bad thing?
It depends on what your views are. It seems like your friend had an issue with it. We aren't crazy about Zionism.
The problem with the problem that I have with Zionism, the strict Zionists are they want all the land to be Israel's, and they want to decimate the Palestinian people for good. That's like the hard stance that they take, that the only possible solution to the wars in the Middle East is to let the Jews have Israel, and then no Palestine whatsoever. And the Palestinian solution is the exact opposite.
Get rid of Israel, give it back to Palestine.
Yeah.
Right, because Israel came about after the Holocaust,
from the river to the sea. It's not a good one. It's not a good look. It's not helping their cause.
We have a new segment we've been doing lately called the Kvetching Corner. Sometimes we the most Jewish thing ever is just to give somebody some opportunity to kvetch about something in their life, and this is an opportune time that we've all got some shit to complain about. So if you want to have anything to kvetch about.
You have anything to kvetch about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Relationships. I have a big, huge fucking problem of finding guys that love to talk to me, want to be around me, love to talk to me every single day, but all they fucking want from me is just being my friend. And I've had that situation multiple times. I'm kind of going through that right now here. I met this guy at the beach, and instantly here he is, calling me every day, every single day, but yet he has a partner of 4 years that he loves, doesn't want to give up, but yet he's talking to me every single day, saying things like, bye, baby, hey, girl, stuff like that. And so I'm very frustrated with myself that I have put myself into these positions where I'm always just that friend person and nothing more.
We hope that if there are any nice Jewish guys that are listening that would like to be more than friends with Adam, we'll have, of course, his contact in his social media in our description.
Please, yes, hook me up.
We'll find you a nice Jewish.
I'm tired of just being that friend. Yeah, I'll date really anybody. Jewish, atheist. I'll date a Palestinian.
I want you to find a nice gay Palestinian. That's what we need. That's what we need. Maybe I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna get on.
They're out there.
I gotta try to find a gay Palestinian for you, Adam.
I'm game.
I don't know why that excites me. I'm like hooking up a Jewish gay guy and a Palestinian gay guy. This is what we need more of in the world.
I don't know. I do feel like you're going to run into some sort of resistance to trying to root out gay Palestinians sounds like a pretty nefarious plot. So be careful.
Well, the Palestinian Authority, they aren't very, accepting of the homosexual lifestyle. So that is hard. But that doesn't mean there aren't gay Palestinians. Obviously, we know that because we had one on the show, Iman.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Iman. Yes. She, she plays for the lesbian team, but she's still, yes.
Still, so, they're out there and they deserve all the rights that everybody else has, no matter what country you're from, no matter what your religion is. We want a world filled with more acceptance and inclusivity, and we hope that happens. We hope some of the message that we put out with this podcast will help perpetuate that, but who knows? People love to hate.
People love to hate, but not me. I love to love, and I'm here to love, and I totally would love a gay Palestinian.
All right, Adam.
Awesome.
Do you have a favorite Jewish holiday?
Favorite Jewish holiday? Hanukkah, because that's where I got money from my grandfather.
Fair enough.
Do you have a favorite Jewish food?
A favorite Jewish food? Is baklava? Is that Jewish? No, not baklava. No, something else. It's like anyway. No,
babka. You think about babka?
Babka. Maybe I'm thinking
babka.
that.
Yeah, you're right. Babka.
It's like a dessert, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like chocolate.
Yes, that's what I meant to say. Sorry. Babka. Yes.
Good stuff. You got to love a good chocolate babka.
Yes, that's what I like.
Chocolate babka is good. Adam, do you have a favorite Jew? It could be biblical, historical, someone in your life, someone in entertainment, anybody.
A favorite Jew? My mother.
Aw.
It's a good one.
Maybe she'll listen to this. I don't know. My mom.
Awesome.
Well, Adam, is there anything you want to plug?
There is nothing. I need a job and a boyfriend, so that's what I'm plugging. So if you're out there and you want to hire me, that's what I'm plugging, yes. But not right now. Right now, I'm kind of just not doing much of anything, to be honest with you.
Well,
sorry, I know that's not the answer you probably
enjoy
want.
Enjoy the nice weather in Los Angeles. I'm sorry, I
shall
over
and will. What's the weather like in New York right now? Is it cold?
It's getting a little warmer.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was it was 50s. Next week's supposed to be nice. Be in the 50s and 60s next week.
You get that tease of spring. Yes.
Yeah, it's coming. Well, thanks, Adam, so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. It's great to see you, and I'm glad you're, getting some gigs out there in L.A., and I'm going to be looking for you on the next season of Curb Your Enthusiasm for sure.
Look out for me. You might see my face, a half of my ear. You might see something, but I'm in there.
Nice.
Well, I'm definitely going to be seeing if I can see anything on the yarmulke any writing.
Yes, please, and keep me informed if you do see something.
Will do.
Thank you guys for having me.
Our pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Bye.
All right. Oh, boy. Awesome chat with Adam Chisnall on the show today. Make sure you follow him on social media at The Adam Chisnall on both Twitter and Instagram. And make sure you're following us across social media, American Jew Podcast, except on Twitter. We are American Jew Pod. And if you're not subscribed to our Patreon, you should be checking that out. We have extended interviews with all of our guests over there on the Patreon/American Jew Podcast. And you can follow me on Instagram as well. Personally, my personal page is at Beatnik Nudnik. You can also always follow my other podcast, Where's the Grief?
And check me out at Jonathan Randall everywhere. Shalom, and if you're a Jew, be a Jew and be proud that you're a Jew. And there are 2 Jews that accept you right here every week at American Jew.
Exactly. If you want to be a Jew, be a subscriber to American Jew.